Welcome to That Backyard Property Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Killiner, and I'm a father, a husband, and a mortgage broker. Our goal is to inspire, educate, and empower people through property. Whether you're a first home buyer, whether you're looking to upgrade or downsize or invest in property, then we're here to help you. Each week, we'll have a special guest that's an expert in their field, and they'll guide us through all of your questions that you might have, plus a lot of other information. So let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Backyard Property Pod. And today I'm super pumped. I've got the suave man in the studio today. And Jay is a director of Vision Surveys, and I'm thrilled to have you in today to have a chat. Welcome, Jay.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me. I even trimmed my beard for you.
I almost expected you to wear one of your suits.
Yeah, but it's so hot, man.
I know.
Imagine walking in with that.
Yeah,
We're like sweating. It's like sweat beads coming down my face. No need.
Also, what's going on with that when it's 40 degrees outside? So,
Yeah. No, I feel like I could have rocked it though.
yeah, you could have. Yeah. If there's one man that could,
Maybe a little nice cotton piece.
I'm always envious. I feel like I've just got the grey and the blue, and that's me done. Mate, today was just obviously a chat, and I love what you guys do as a company, and I think it can add some serious value to anyone that's listening today. But I guess I really like to start with talking about a home. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and your memories and feelings around your first home, and whether that be the first one you bought or or your first family home, or whatever brings the feeling of home to you. What's in your mind?
Well, when I think of my first purchase of a home, I didn't actually even walk into it. I just sort of went, yep, I'm going to develop this. I'm going to tear it down. So that was my first ever purchase, just for a 5-lot subdivision. I think after I got planning commission conditional approval, then only I went to site. So It was like 4 months after. Yeah. And then I sort of looked at it and went, okay, well, yep, not really phased, going to do a subdivision. Yeah. But if I go to my first actual home, once you get married and stuff and you start looking at a house, then same thing applied actually. I went to a site, didn't actually walk in. All I cared about was the land. And I went, yeah, I can make this work. And that's that property I got you to look at. Yeah. And I was just like, yep, all right, offer in, good. And now, best decision I've made. Good spot, good location. So yeah, that's my home.
Isn't it funny? You just can't take the developer out of
I think my parents are like, are you sure you don't want to walk in the house? I'm like, yeah, but the land's good.
Land, location, I can make this work.
Anything that you need to do, you can spend some money, spruce it up if you need to, if you want to.
Yeah. And is that home for you now?
That is home for us now, and will be home for us for a while until we grow out of it.
Yeah. I guess growing out of it is probably because you've had new additions. And
that's right. Yeah. So we've got a little baby girl now, and maybe another one on the way. But once there's 2, I think we need to find another place, or at least renovate. Yeah.
Welcome to the Dads of Daughters Club.
That's right.
It's very illustrious.
Girl dad club, man. Got to get used to it.
Absolutely. And so, in terms of family home for you, is there something that you want to, like, if a family home of growing up, is that something that you're trying to strive for your daughter and family in the future? Is that something you think about?
I grew up in a very small town in Malaysia, and very small house as well. All of us sort of cramped into a room. So I have 3 sisters, and so the 4 of us will sleep in one room. So you have 2 double-decker beds. All of us sleep in there. There's 1 study table. No, I don't want that for my kids.
It's so interesting though, because anyone that's kind of buying their first home now, and it's like, well, we need 4 bedroom, and we need an ensuite and a bathroom, and we don't have any kids yet. And you're thinking, well, there's obviously plenty of families in the world that grow up in just one little room.
Yeah, that's right.
And you wonder whether all that space makes you any happier as well.
Yeah. Oh, I spoke about it with my sisters and my missus the other day, and my sisters and I had fond memories of just cramped up in a room. It wasn't really a tiny room. It's a good sized room, probably bigger than the rooms that we get here. But still, four of us cramped in it. But we had fun. Yeah, it was really fun and really nice. And I even contemplated. I'm going, well, until Aria's probably 5 or 6, they'll still be tiny. They can still cramp in a room. But it's after when they start getting that sass and then they go, I need my space and all that. Then we're gonna have to make it bigger. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say sass. I thought the sass started when they were 12 or 13, but our 4-year-old is already getting me a sat. So,
So there you go. I got 3 more years.
Yeah, you've got 3 more years of bliss. And so I guess delving into that development part of you, you must almost drive around Perth and just look at a site and go, oh, I can add value to that, or we could do that. Talk to me. What's vision surveys? What do you do for a living, as on a basic level?
So our company used to be Vision Surveys, now Vision Surveys Consulting. We started off as Vision Surveys in 2004, just barely just surveying related services. And then in about 2014, we rebranded to bring in a consulting arm as well, because we found that from 2004 to 2014, we were providing a lot of advice to people on not just getting a site surveyed, but what does it mean when you're getting it surveyed? Like, why are you getting it surveyed? Are you sure you don't need these extra information for this particular thing that you're doing? So when I get a request for a quote, I always go, what are you doing first of all? And then I'll tell you sort of what I think you need to get surveyed. So that consulting part is really, really something that we really sort of push on, and we really like guiding people through the process. So that's where Vision Surveys Consulting came about. Okay. What we predominantly do is a lot of land development, subdivision components, but we also work on engineering projects as well, with apartment developments, a lot of storage sheds, those massive road, highway logistic parks, sheds that you see there. A lot of stuff like that. And just keeping busy in that realm and making sure that we're on top of all the new technologies as well, so that we can deliver the data that we need to deliver in the time that we need to deliver it.
Yeah. I guess there's probably a lot of people that come to you and have an idea in mind of what they're trying to achieve, but don't know how to even get close to the end goal. And you must be with them the whole way through that.
Yeah. So we take them all the way from the start all the way to the end if they want to. So they can choose, they can sort of go, no, I only need you in these particular components. But more often than not, most of our clients go have us by their side from the start to finish.
Yeah. It must have seen some pretty cool projects over the journey.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. So sometimes the projects just come out of nowhere. You're just like, first you're just having a chat about a quick, oh, can you come and pick up this tree? And then all of a sudden you're like, just managing this six apartment development things or whatever it is that you're doing there on site, just from that one conversation. I give you an example, like you can come to me and say, I'm doing a renovation and I'm sort of building, a sort of an extension at the back of the house. I could easily go, okay, well, we can just survey the back of the house. But if I start asking you more questions, your designer's trying to design something close to the boundary, So then I'll go, okay, well, then you need an extra survey. You need your boundaries surveyed as well. They're like, oh, why do we need that? I wasn't asked that from the designer. I don't think anyone else has given me a price for that, so I don't understand why I'm going to need it. It's not going to be like for like. And I said, well, if you don't do it, you may have issues later. Imagine just designing something that's going to be encroaching the boundary or not taking into account that the fence may not be on the boundary line, and then you just design hard up against it. So those are things that could create issues, and we don't want those issues to come up.
No.
And those are things that, especially when you're trying to sell later on, things will always stay dormant until someone wants to transact in these lands or whatever property that they have, and then everything just starts coming to light. Why do you want to get to that stage?
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I had completely forgotten this, but our paths crossed 7.5 years ago. And it was all because of an existing or an old strata block.
Yeah.
And we purchased this property, which is a duplex, and my wife and I purchased it, and we didn't realise what an old strata was at the time. And we spoke with you guys, and it was, well, did you realise that you own what's under roof,
Yeah.
and the rest of the land is technically communal?
Common property.
Common property.
Yeah.
And so we went to the neighbours and said, before we buy this, are you willing to engage with surveyors to help us go through a survey strata? And they didn't even realise that that's what they had purchased originally as well.
Yeah.
And so when you go through it with them, everyone's on board with it, but they don't actually realise the implications that you could technically go into their yard and vice versa, even though there's fence lines. It's amazing the amount of times I've been asked around survey strata since.
Yeah.
And I'm always reminded back to when we first spoke and talking about that with them and say, well, if you need to talk to someone, Jay's a gun in that space. But what's the basis behind it? Like what actually ended up happening with an old strata and a survey strata? How did that come about?
Well, back in the day, that would be the only way you do it. You would just do that strata. And then after that, survey stratas were brought in.
Yeah.
So then there was a particular date that you would get prior to 1998. If you had an old strata, then they would be okay to be converted to a survey strata. So you got the concession to be able to convert to survey strata.
Yeah.
Okay. If you created a strata after 1998 or after 1st of Jan 1998, then you made the choice to create one. So you can't convert it. If you wanted to go survey strata, you would have to terminate it and then create a survey strata subdivision from that. So that would be a different pathway altogether, different costing involved, quite a bit of costing involved because it would be very different. Yeah. So like your conversion, it would just be a licensed surveyor will be delegated to then convert that plan from a strata plan to a survey strata plan, and they don't have to go through planning commission. But that licensed surveyor that you speak to will have to go if he or she thinks that you need to put in certain requirements to upgrade a parking or certain things, that whatever it is in that particular property, you will have to do it. More often than not, it's fine because the things have been thought of when the house was designed. But a lot of the times it isn't. So it can be very different. Every time you see a strata conversion, it's always different. And the shapes of the blocks, oh my God, sometimes you can see like some odd shapes that come in for a conversion. You really need to sit down and you need to plan how that conversion will look.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times conversions don't go ahead because, people say, oh, I want to do it, but they don't speak to the neighbor first. And then I go, all right, well, before I even look at this, did you even talk to your neighbor first? Because without unanimous resolution, we're not getting anywhere. There's no point. So sit down with them first and then talk about the benefits and then see if you still want to go. But a lot of the time, some people may not want to do it because they want to hold you to, having that strata plan, because they can, if you were to renovate or want to do a resub, they will have to sign off on it. Yeah. And resub is in re-subdivision of that strata. Yeah.
And so I guess for anyone that's wondering what an old strata or a survey strata is, my understanding is a survey strata is effectively a green title in that sense. Is that the case, or there's slight
I wouldn't
differences?
say a survey strata is a green title. I would say a survey strata is a freehold land parcel. Green title is also a freehold land parcel. And then you have a strata plan, which is the strata. Okay, so it's all based on the building itself. It also is freehold. Freehold just means non-leasehold. Okay, so we're not going to say a survey strata is a green title because it would be too confusing. So think of it this way: land title, survey strata; land title, green title. Okay, so both of those are land titles. The other one, built strata, is a built form title. That's what you need to think of.
And I guess for anyone that is in the process of buying a property and they come across an old title like that, what should they do?
Well, if they're okay buying one, then there's no issues at all. So more often than not, people are told that it's a land parcel, and then they provide me the title in the survey strata plan, but it's not a survey strata plan, it's a strata plan. And I go, look, you said you wanted to buy a survey strata lot. This isn't a survey strata lot, this is a strata lot. Yep. And they go, oh, sorry, I got told that it was a land parcel. I'm like, no, it's not. So do you want to convert? If you did want to convert, try and talk to the agent, see what you need to do with the back owner. Would they even be ready for it? If this is not the pathway that you want to take, then it's not.
Sounds like the exact same phone conversation we had 7 years ago. And hey Jay, I don't really get this. I don't know. And you're like, this is the process, and you made it so clear.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we have to do that's the right way forward.
Yep. And 7 years ago, we could have finished off a conversion quicker. Now it takes a little bit longer as well. Just everything takes longer now, right? And I always go the whole, you can jump into your neighbor's pool because it's common property, but that's just a joke. You're never going to do that because there's fencings involved, and people don't do that, but just technicalities, right? So it just makes it a little bit more, oh my gosh, I need to do something here because everything's sitting in common property.
I think the terminology you used for us was you could go and have a barbecue in their yard. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I don't want them doing that in mine, so I reckon survey strata sounds good.
I'm just going to get to say stuff that make people move, That's
yeah, it.
Yeah, that's you go.
Did the trick. And I guess that's probably another thing that I get asked a bit around, where should I buy, and all those types of questions from buyers that are investment savvy and wanting to grow their wealth that way. And subdivisions come up a lot, and they say, well, I'm going to buy this because of the certain zoning, and we will subdivide in the future, and this is all going to happen. And so they've almost played it all out before they've actually taken hold of it and spoken to an expert. In terms of then someone wanting to buy a property before doing that, what would your advice be for any sort of small time developer in that sense?
Just remember that whatever you look at the moment, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
So anyone out there won't be able to tell you what it's going to be in 10 years, 20 years time. You're buying that property, you're going, okay, I'm going to take the punt here, and if I want to keep it for 20 years, then let's see what happens in 20 years. Yeah. Okay. So because as example, where I bought on my street 10 years ago, when I was doing stuff over there, I could subdivide there. Not anymore. So just remember that, okay? But yes, still, first of all, you really want to look at what the current zoning is. What is the potential of that property? That zoning will be able to tell you in addition to the local planning policies and the R codes. Okay, so all of them if you look at all of them together, review that property, you should know what can be done in that property, sort of basic sort of terms, right? Yep. So like a yield of, can I get a yield of 2? Can I get a yield of 3? So if you're happy with that, then you go, let's say if I wanted to do something later in the future, I should have enough funds to do this. Yep, I'll do it. Yep. I'll take, I'll move on this offer, yep, and actually put one in. But worst case scenario, that property goes up in value, which is happening now anyway. And, then you go, okay, well, I'm going to sell it anyway because I can't hold on it anymore. Yeah. Okay. But if you really definitely think that you're going to purchase it to develop it next week, you really want to know what exactly can happen on that property. So don't just take a punt. Speak to someone like us, speak to yourselves, find out what is it that they can borrow or not. Yeah. Can they even actually afford it? A lot of people think that a subdivision is so cheap, or they hear that, they can do a subdivision for 20 grand. I'm like, I still get those phone calls, by the way.
So do I.
20 grand. I don't, mate, no way.
Yeah.
I don't know where you heard that, but I can tell you 150% no way.
Maybe from their parents who did it 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't think so. They always say that anyway, they may get something from online or somewhere, or they maybe misunderstood it. But, a 2-lot subdivision now, every time I tell someone a number, it's always exaggerated, because you rather have an exaggerated number so that you can at least have some fat to play with. Yeah. Okay. If you have too constrained of a number, then you have no wriggle room. Okay. So I'm even going to tell people like a 2-lot subdivision, you need about 90 to 100K. Very safe. It's not going to be around 100K if the land's flat and whatnot. You come in way below that. But if your mind is able to think, yep, I will have that money next, just in case something happens and I can afford it, there's no issue.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because that does come up a lot for me as the pre-purchase conversations, which we can't advise on, but you're obviously trying to keep money set aside after the purchase so they do have some funds there. But in terms of, if I was to pull it right back from the consulting arm to the business, if someone was wanting to do that, could they come and see you to help them find the right block and then go through the whole process? Is that something your consulting arm does?
Yeah, we definitely do that.
Yeah. So if someone said, well, we really want to do a development, we don't really know how, we don't know where, could we come and sit with you and you show us what options there are, where we could look, and then do you help them find the block and those sort of things?
We don't help them find the block, the exact block, but we can guide them. More often than not, someone comes in, they already got a few properties in their mind anyway. So you start looking at those blocks. Let's say if they bring 5 lots, we start talking about the 5 lots. Why is lot number 1 good? Why is lot number 2 not good? Why is lot number 3 pretty good, but could be better? Then from those properties that they've searched, they already have a criteria of, all right, I can do a sort of a hybrid search from here and there, and then they go and come back with properties anyway. And then all we do is we just review those properties. So it's a lot. It's like a hybrid solution.
It's because people just don't know.
No,
They don't know. And I personally don't either. I wouldn't know how to do a development. Yet I'm helping people get the funds for it, but I'm not even doing it myself. So it's just reassuring having someone like you guys in the corner.
And subdivision now just gets, more difficult. Every time there's a new thing that comes in, there'll be new paperwork that needs to be done. People who think that they've done it before come back again to do it again, and they think they know exactly what needs to be done, but then they miss a few things, or certain paperwork, and then that just delays the process, and they go, I don't understand why it's not moving. I've done this before. It's like, yeah, but you got to constantly, it's different now. It's 2025.
Yeah. Does it change between one council to the next as well?
There's certain things that would change, but technically the WAPC conditions read the same, but how they're to be met from council to council, you need to know from experience and how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because certain councils will ask for certain documentation, certain councils will ask for certain applications for particular applications. So it's quite different. And, we just know it because we do it every day.
Yeah. And like on the doing it every day, you've seen so many developments over the journey. Like what excites you the most about the role? Is it the big developments, or is it the mum and dad subdividing, or like what, or them doing it multiple times? Like what excites you around the business?
Well, I think the most exciting part is when you start off with a client, and most of the time when it's very difficult and they go, look, I really need help, and they come and then we sort it out, and then from there it's just that relationship that you create, and then you are dealing with them every year since however many years, multiple projects just churning again and again and again. And then you go, all right, that's a good relationship that's been made there. And, it's like an unbroken bond, like it's just like you can't break it. It just gets stronger and stronger, and you just have fun doing it. Like the laughs that we have doing developments, like with the clients, like we just become like really good friends throughout the years, and because it's their asset that just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you see their family grow from the assets that they've grown.
Because 20 years for Vision Surveys Consulting is it's
a massive milestone. We celebrated that last year. It's surreal. 20 years is surreal. And the founding director was just like standing there. I remember when he was giving us a speech, and he just stand there going, I can't believe it's been 20 years. Just gone back, boom, like that.
And like how big is the team now?
We got about 20-ish. Yeah, yeah.
Are they all in Scarborough in terms of the main
Yeah,
office?
yeah. So we got two offices, two buildings there. So one's where the meetings and everything gets held, and then we got the full surveying and drafting office on the other side as well. Yeah. So it's a nice, decent sized team. Amazing culture. It's just like a family there. Yeah, everyone gets along with each other and has laughs. We go out, we have some drinks and whatnot. So it's really, really fun.
It's funny. I think that was one of the fourth questions I had on there with what I sent through. Is it? It's always hard to see a business from the outside looking in and assume that they have a good culture. But whenever I've spoken with you in the past, the way you smile and how proud you are of the culture clearly shows that it's real. How do you how has that developed over time, and how do you maintain it?
I think personally, I give people space. You can do whatever you need to do. If you need time for your family, you need time to do whatever it is that you want. Sometimes you don't even need to come and ask me. Just, do it. We trust you. Yeah. And I think that level of trust in a company is very important. But also just, everyone just, if you've got something that you need or you need help with something, you just collaborate inside that team itself. So when you provide that freedom in a particular office without actually just micromanaging every time, I think they just get to flourish.
Yeah. And no doubt you've mentored people from their early stages of the career to now being able to do developments for people or advise on certain aspects of the business.
Yeah, so we got different arms of the business. We got the surveying side, we got the consulting side, and we got the project management side. I've mentored a few project consultants, project managers, and throughout the years, some of them have their own companies now as well. Yeah. And some of them are developing their own properties. So yeah, it's nice to see.
Yeah. Look, you've
of
clearly
course.
had a positive impact on their lives.
Yeah, and you remain friends. It's a small. Perth is such a small place. Everyone remains friends. You never can do anything bad in Perth like to anyone else. Everyone will know everyone.
Yeah, feels like a big country town like that sometimes.
Oh yeah, you walk down the road like you bound to know someone.
Talking about Perth property market has had quite an amazing run over the last 18 months to 2 years. And it's certainly different to when we bought in 7 years ago when we had that conversation when the market was depressed and no one wanted to buy. What have you seen because you're living it day in, day out. How have you seen the market, and where do you see it moving in the future?
We were just talking about it this morning at our team meeting, and it's been a strong start to the year for us. Yeah. It's just inquiry levels are super high. People are looking at purchasing. A lot of them are looking at renovating. A lot are looking at renovating. And most of them are looking at renovating to, 50-50, half to live, half to sell. There's movement in that space as well. And development-wise, so, you got the 5-lot, the 4-lotters, the 5-lotters keep going. So they're starting up, and I think how I see it going, I don't like to comment on the market too much. I just like to go, right, I'll be the guy who tells you what you need to do in the background to create this, the new development and the title and whatnot. And I never really you would never catch me commenting on the market too much, but I'm hopeful for this market. Yeah, I think it's still got room to grow. I think Perth's got some space to go there. Yeah.
So
what do you think?
Demand. What do I think? I think the amazing part around this market in particular is that 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when interest rates were about 2%, there was a fear that the market would tank out because of this mortgage rate cliff. And there was a lot of emphasis on interest rates. And there were certainly some commentators out there that were saying that the market would dive because of rates increasing. Rates hit 6.5%, and the market has continued to grow. And so I think it's made people realize that maybe interest rates aren't as directly related to the property market, and maybe it's just simple economics of if supply is low and demand is high, it doesn't matter what the cost of the money is, that's what will determine the market. And so then you go, if we forget about rates and look at supply and demand, are we building enough homes to meet the demand? And if that's still there's more demand than supply, then economics says that it will continue to grow. That most likely not at the same pace. Yeah. I don't know if that's possible, but it's certainly, until we have the supply side sorted, then it's hard not to see that.
When someone goes, what are you seeing at the moment in the market? All I can tell you is, how many titles we're creating. That's it, And if I see the number growing up, I'll just say, look, looks positive at the moment.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to comment, but it looks good.
That's right.
And I think the part from our side of it is that, as I said, when we bought in 2017, the market was so bad, and the amount of people saying, don't buy, market's bad, don't buy. And the market's really hot now, and everyone's saying, don't buy now because the market's too hot. Well, if I can't buy when it's hot and I can't buy when it's bad, when am I supposed to do it? And so for me, and I guess this would be the same for you guys, when you just look at the fundamentals and can I afford to do it, and can I find the right property? Yeah. And if they align, then maybe it's the right time.
Yeah, and with development, like if you find that property, you know what the cost of purchase is. If you know what the cost of developing is, and then you try and figure out what the cost of sale is, if those numbers all work, then it works.
Yeah, and you can't determine the market then, so you can only work out what today is. And I guess that's probably what I was going to say as well, is that given what has happened in the market, there's a lot of Monday experts, there's a lot of we should have done this. Are you seeing people having felt like they've missed out and now wanting to jump on the bandwagon of developing and maybe expecting the same outcome as what's happened before?
I think there's a little bit of that, but not a lot. I mean, coming to me anyway. Yeah, not a lot. The ones that are coming are mostly seasoned developers that are doing those ones. Yeah.
And seasoned developers generally here, over east or overseas? What's the demographic?
Well, here, mostly here. And then there's a lot of over east ones coming as well. But they've purchased back, quite low when the price was low before, but now starting to develop it. So there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Do they?
That started again to ramp up again from mid last year. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, I don't know, it's just cheap for them. Yeah, timing is, when I looked at the properties for them to purchase, there was this one year, I can't remember exactly when it was, but we just kept buying stuff in Forestville. I just kept buying stuff. And now all of those ones are being developed. Yeah.
Forestfield.
Yeah.
Watching that grow over the last 4 years has been unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was 4 years ago. We just kept buying properties everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you buy them as the business, or you're saying you're helping clients buy them?
No, those are the clients buying them.
Yeah.
I review them and make sure, and then go get the stuff sorted for them. Yeah. So all of those ones that have been sitting there are now all being developed.
That's amazing.
Or at least started the process.
Yeah, and I guess when you're comparing it to if they live in Sydney and they're buying a house for $500,000-600 grand as opposed to $3.5 million, it's more achievable here.
Yeah, and that's just one example. There's also other suburbs, obviously, but I'm just saying that there was a large majority of Forestville purchases back in the day, and they've done really good out of those purchases. But they had circumstantial as well. They had to be able to sit down and just go, I'm just going to buy and hold for the moment. Not many people could have done that then, maybe. So it's for their circumstance. It works.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very, very, it's very personal to a particular person. So it's not like I can take one formula and go boom to everyone.
But that's what I see every day in my role, where someone comes and says, "My friend's done this. I want to do that too." oh, but you don't have the same
Yeah.
circumstances. So that's what they did is quite different to what you do. And we're all in our own unique world that we kind of have to just run our own race. We can look at the lane next to us, but a lot of the time you don't know how that lane was created
No.
because it's not all equal.
That's right. That's right. And almost the same line from me is like, oh, but my neighbor did the same thing and I want to do that. And I was like, yeah, but with subdivisions, like even if it's a neighboring lot, that could be different things. So it's never the same. So I always go, every subdivision is unique. It's my line. You will hear me say it a lot. Every subdivision is unique.
It's funny when you say things so many times. My wife repeats back some of the things I'm saying every single day, multiple times a day. And that must be one of your ones too.
Or sometimes if someone goes, oh, but you said this, I'm like, yep, nah, definitely didn't say it because I know what I always say again and again and again. It's like, I never change those certain lines, so there's no way I would have said this other thing.
Yeah. Bit of Chinese whispers then. What are some of the mistakes you've seen people make? Because you would have seen a few of them. And my assumption would be the mistake is probably them trying to do it themselves and then coming to see you after starting.
Well, I've had those recently, again, quite a few, but the only reason I didn't really, end of last year was a big year, and there's a lot of projects. So if someone was to go, look, I want to do it myself, yeah, okay, yeah, go do it yourself. And then if you have anything later on, let me know. I'll assist in the background, always assist. But if it gets to a particular stage where I need to come in and manage it, then we'll have to go, look, we're going to have to manage this. Otherwise, it's not going to get finished. And there are a few of those cases. Yeah. I did feel a little bit bad not managing it from the start, but, without them actually trying, you would never know. So they actually did learn. They were fine with it, but it would have saved a lot of time. So, yes, sometimes people think that they want to manage it completely. It's just not the easiest thing, especially now in this particular market where if you don't know a trade, well, and you're just going to go and get, for some reason, some people get 5 quotes. I don't know why. It's just too much. Just getting a random person just to quote it. You don't know the person. Like, what's the point, right? Yeah. But I think it's very important. Like people like us and other project managers out there who have trades that they trust and know, the value there is that trade knows the project manager is going to make sure that they get paid on time. They will work in a good time frame.
Yeah.
And for me, like I've never had any issues with any of my contractors or trades because we always make sure that they get paid first. Yeah. All the time. That's always been my thing. And I've never had, touch wood, never had any issues with time frame with them. So that's a big value add.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to get something, like you want 3 months or you want, within the month, which one do you want? Yeah. Yeah. So that's important thing to note. So that's probably a good mistake to have. And the other thing is, I've had a couple of clients last year as well who were very fixated in green title subdivisions in areas that I didn't think green title subdivisions would, a green title lot would bring in too much more in the sale price. Yeah. And then after going, no, I still want, I said, you should probably go survey strata. It would probably be easier for you, a lot cheaper for the subdivision, yada, yada, yada. And no, they still wanted to go green title. After you get the conditional approval, once you get green title conditional approval, you can't just go, oh, I don't want green title anymore. Can I swap this to survey strata?
Does it cost more?
Well, it's a new application. It's a brand new application.
But does it cost more to do green title?
Yes, because if you were, again, situational. Because if you didn't have services to a particular block, which in this case it was, no services there, you would have to extend everything. So it's very expensive to do that. Whereas the survey strata, you just connect into the existing points and then, there's implied easements in place. Then on top of that, with this one, like the contractors that they were finding didn't actually know exactly what to do because I actually didn't even know who they were talking to, but it was a contractor who said they could do it, but actually didn't know what to do. And then it just dragged on for a year. And then I was like, oh, is this done? They're like, no, it's not yet because the contractor, It's like, oh. So, yeah, I think researching whether it is beneficial to do a particular style of title is very important in the start. So that could be a big mistake in the start, and then that would cost you dearly as well. And trades again, like you just getting it managed properly is going to be time efficient. Like
Absolutely. Well, so really the option is research yourself or find someone that's really good at it, like you guys.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
But we will always be there anyway. So like none of these clients feel like they've lost too much time. We're always there, phone call away, just having a chat. But I'm not going to manage the property for you if I'm not managing it. But I'll always have a chat. I'll tell you where to go, who to speak to, etc. Yeah. I had an interesting phone call the other day. Wasn't even a client. Just go, oh, I hear you're doing this subdivision. It's like, can you give me all this list of all these contractors? I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, you kind of want those contractors pretty close to you as well, because
Well, it doesn't matter. I could give you that list. If it, those contractors will only work, efficiently and know that they're going to be paid if they're coming through me anyway.
Yeah, true.
If they don't know who it is, it's just another,
Yeah, it's
So-
just some random.
But after years and years and years of dealing with them and regular basis as well, so you form that trust.
Yeah. And only a couple of questions. I love where we were going with that, but I just can't. It would be remiss of me not to talk about somersault markets,
Oh,
because I feel that that's the other part of your life,
life.
and it's something that we went down a couple of weeks ago.
you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, we've been down a couple of times this summer, and it is just such a beautiful atmosphere, and our girls loved it, and I thought it was worth talking about it.
Yeah. Well, Somersault Markets is a market run by my wife, May Wan, and her business partner, Sophie Keat. And it's a community market, and it's just great. It's just that feel that you get when you walk in, and the amount of people there all the time. And the Trig locals love it. You would think that they hate it, but they actually love it.
Do they?
Yeah, the Trig locals come down and say how much they love it. Yeah. Well, my role there, I just assist my missus and Sophie. On a weekend, I get the lollipop out, sort of go stop go on the traffic. So, get to shut my brain out and just basically do traffic management, basically, and help out with anything else in the market as well. But yeah, it's really fun. It's very different, and it does actually provides a different purpose as well. It's not just development for me. I get to give back to the community. And Vision Surveys Consulting is also a sponsor for the Somersault Markets as well. So we sponsor the startup grants for new up and coming businesses who want to get a platform to sort of showcase their product for the year. So we would finance pretty much the whole market, all their stall fees, pretty much. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So they get in and then they get to show their products, showcase it. But every year it's like a new application process, and then we choose one that we think would be beneficial to sort of get their product out there. Yeah. But Somersault Markets will have certain criteria, like it needs to meet certain environmental criterias and what is in their product, etc. Yeah. But yeah, like you come in there. Great vibe, great music, great food, great stalls. Everyone's a family there. And that culture that's in that market's brilliant. And May Wan and Sophie have really come up with a fantastic product there.
It's funny because you go to different markets all over the place, and that one in particular, and I'm not even just saying this because you're in the room, that one in particular, the feeling that you get walking around is so relaxing. And you kind of feel earthy in a way. Yeah. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but you just feel a part of it. Yeah. And you're not necessarily buying anything or whatever it might be. You could just be walking around. It's hard to go there with two girls and walk past the cookie stand or the donut place and not buy something. And you're always saying, "Well, I'll have one as well, just to try it." Yeah. But It's a really lovely place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moan and Sophie's done such a great job with it. How did it start?
I think the two of them just wanted to start up a market a few years ago, quite a few years ago actually, and I think they joined this particular market, and then she wanted to leave, and then they made it a different thing altogether after that.
And is it still going?
Yes, of course, yeah. So it's still going. There was one last weekend, and there's the next one's next weekend. It runs for the summer. Yeah. We're so lucky it's not the heat wave. I think we would have had to cancel it for that heat wave. Like, there's no way. Oh, that would have been hot.
Well, we drove past on last Saturday, and our 4.5-year-old saw everyone doing the yoga.
So many people.
Yeah.
Like so many people in the
My
morning doing
daughter
yoga.
couldn't understand why there were so many people out there doing that, and it's kind of funny explaining that to someone. So they're a community that are being a part of something together, and
yeah. And those yoga classes are all run by volunteers as well, so no one's paid. And then that yoga itself, to do the yoga, it's just completely free. And if anyone wanted to do a donation after, and then it gets donated to a particular cause from Somersault Markets.
You might be able to answer this, and I've been wondering this for quite a while, which is funny. You know how you've got buskers, people are busking, and I imagine that there's people at Somersault that do play music. Mm-hmm. Given no one carries cash anymore, do buskers have a tap as you go to provide any money? Does that happen, or they just get less money over the time?
The first time I saw a busker with tap as you go was in London, and I was going through the tubes, and then I was just like, whoa, the guy's got a square reader. So cool. And then it's like he just sets a square reader, so every time you tap, it's like whatever he sets. I think it was £2 or something that he was taking, so you just go and tap and that's it. But yeah, the people in Somersault Markets, the ones that are singing, aren't buskers though. So they are up and coming young artists, so it needs to be a certain age. And Maywan can correct me and tell you later, but I'm pretty sure it's under the age of 17. Yep. And up and coming, wanting to showcase what they can do, and that's the criteria to be there and actually perform at the Somersault Markets. So there's certain things that she sort of adds as a criteria.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome, man. I don't know why that came up, but I've always
But I think they still put something there. People want to give some tips here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. But okay, when you just said that, it just brought me back, and I remember he was singing Hallelujah in the tubes in London, and I just like, this is too cool. I gotta go and tap. Yeah, give him some money.
Yeah, my £2. And last one, I really enjoy finishing on this note, because it I don't know, it just makes people feel proud of themselves. But over your journey in your role as a director and with the company, what are you most proud of with Vision Surveys Consulting? What if I said, you don't have to be one thing or two things, like what are you most proud of with the business?
I think what I'm most proud of with the business is the fact that we adapt to anything that comes up. I don't think there's ever been a situation where someone comes up and goes, can you help with this? And we say no. And that's not just me. Anyone in the team. And I'm pretty sure I get that from my mentors in the business, which are my two business partners now, Craig and Stu. And I just learned everything from them. And never have I, when I used to be sort of learning and whatnot, never would they say, "No, we can't do it." We'll figure out a way. So then I just sort of like go, all right, emphasize on that. So there will always be a solution. Just go and work at it. And I think everyone in that company knows that, and everyone actually deals in that same way as well. So yeah, when you speak to someone and they're talking about a problem, but they already brought what they think a solution is, so good.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why you seek professionals.
Yeah. So yeah, very proud and that. Yeah, it's good to reflect on that as well.
Yeah. It's funny whenever I mention and being proud of something, people like everything kind of, you relax and you kind of in your memory go, oh, what is special about that particular part? Yeah. How do people find you or Vision Survey Consulting?
Oh, well, we're everywhere, man. Just
You're all over my feed. The algorithms are working well.
Yeah, all the social platforms. Just give us a call. We got Vision Surveys Consulting on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So we can be found. Just type us in, and you'll know how to contact us.
And if you ever want to see a man that looks good in a suit, type in Jay Sidhu as well, and you'll find him too.
On my Insta,
Fresh Prince. Yeah, that's what it is as well, isn't it? The Fresh Prince. Pleasure having you.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on board.
Catching up, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much for listening and being a part of our community at That Backyard Property Podcast. We would love it if you could like, comment, or even share with a family member or a friend that might get something useful from today's episode. We can't wait to see you again next Tuesday.